Sword and Board. I'm Luke.
And I'm Lars.
This is two guys trying to talk about every fantasy movie ever made. Lars, it has been a pretty long time. How are you doing?
It has been a hot minute. Trying to think back when the last time that we did this, and if I'm going off of our timestamp, it was back in 2020.
Yes, back in the hell year.
In the hell year.
In the before
times. So, things are good. I'm about a month and a half-ish away from finishing my doctorate.
Cool.
The kids are doing fine. We actually had a great weekend in the mountains. We stayed at these little tiny cabins. My wife is doing great. So, I mean, things are, for all intents and purposes, things are okay. I've missed you and missed talking about goofy fantasy movies, and this has been a huge hole in my my life. So yeah. I'm glad that we're getting back to this.
Yeah, me too. Things have been pretty good on my end. I have missed doing this a lot. Got a new mattress, which has just been magnificent. I have gotten really into succulents, and so I've got like a little tiny succulent garden going on. It's just nice because they kind of thrive on neglect. And so if you forget about it or you don't water them as frequently, they chug on pretty hard. And we just got I just took a really fascinatingly like this really beautiful old Coca-Cola display. I've got that set up, so we're gonna make like an herb garden out of it. Got it set up. Yep, got that sitting up behind me. I have just been chugging along with stuff that I like in general. It's been really hard for me to play video games over the past couple of years, just for a variety of reasons. But since January, I have finished 5 different ones. I'm working on my 6th, and it's been wild when you actually enjoy things. You know, sitting down and something that you actually like to do.
Wait, what is joy?
I know, right?
what is this? Joy? Am I saying it correctly? Joy? Well, that's cool, man. What are the games?
You remember that really terrible? This is what started this whole project or whatever. You remember that terrible Tom Cruise mummy movie?
Yes.
So there was actually a tie-in video game to it, and not only is there a tie-in video game to it, it's actually good.
Is it better than the movie?
Substantially.
Which I mean, that's
not hard, but it was actually like I played through it. I'm like, dog, this is actually good. I enjoyed this, and then went through my library, played a beautiful little game about a fox called Seasons After Fall, an old school like 90s beat 'em up called Strider, this one called Control, which Control was something. It was like the X-Files if instead of a department all the way at the bottom of the basement of the bureau, it was the entire bureau.
So like Skinner actually was like positive towards them the whole time. And actually, to be fair, Skinner was positive towards them, but wasn't hampered by the cigarette smoking man. Like he was actually encouraged.
Right, and the Control was one of the best games I've ever played, and it was weird. And like the thing that hampers them in this isn't bureaucracy; it's the fact that their office occasionally shifts around, and you may not actually know where you are in the building.
We've been playing lots of games as well over at the therapy house, more family-style games. My kids love Just Dance.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Mario Party, super fun.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised that you're still married after Mario Party, though, because
I really love Breath of the Wild. Mm-hmm. Ori, and the Blind. So I'm playing the first one. So the Blind Forest, I think, is the first one. Right?
I think so too.
Yeah. Beautiful game. My kids call it the pretty game.
And they're not wrong.
No. Yeah, I don't know. I got my second vaccine, and Elizabeth's getting hers, and our folks got theirs, and the sun's shining more, and it's like
I'm on the list.
Things are getting positive.
Right. I am on the list to get one. I did in fact apparently have COVID sometime this year. Asymptomatic, but when they asked me about it, did you have any symptoms? Were you tired? Were you just a little bit drained? Well, yeah, but I'm also 34. So, I mean,
Right,
is that
it's just
is that life?
right.
Yep, but I'm doing good. Victoria's doing good. We are, the sun's shining a little bit more. It rained yesterday, which was really nice. It doesn't rain in Colorado. It's very...
And it pours. No, it's Southern California. Wait, doesn't it rain in California? Yeah, that's the song. And I think also part of the positivity that I'm feeling, this movies that we're going to talk about, this probably is the most solid 3 that we've watched.
Yeah.
In one go.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not the best. I'm not saying that these are the best movies. These are not going to supplant Highlander, in my opinion.
No.
But as far as, because it's also going to make it tough because there's usually an outlier. Mm-hmm. Usually we watch, 3 movies, and one of them is clearly either the best movie we've watched or...
Babes with Blades.
This is the worst movies that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And this one, there's not a mediocre movie in the group. They're all top 10 in my opinion. It's now just figuring out where to put them.
Yeah. And so...
so that was a good thing, too.
Yes.
Especially after our hiatus.
Uh-huh. And we're doing a bunch of animated movies this week. And we're not only... Or this time around. And we're not even doing animated movies. We're doing classic Disney.
Yes.
And so I figure we'd start out with... possibly the quintessential Disney movie, Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah.
And if maybe not the quintessential Disney movie, the quintessential... It is probably Disney's best princess movie.
I don't know if it's the best one. It is the most archetypal, I would say. This is...
Okay, that's probably a better way to phrase it.
Like, when you think of a princess movie, this is what you think of.
So, Sleeping Beauty. There's a baby named Aurora born to a king and a queen. They invite everyone around. They neglect to invite Maleficent, an evil fairy, witch, goddess, Angelina Jolie character.
Right. Which does this mean that
she's insulted? Maleficent was great. I really enjoyed Maleficent.
Adjourn that conversation.
Address it. Okay. Yeah. We will burn that bridge when we get there. So, Maleficent curses the baby to die after pricking her finger on a spinning wheel, but her fairy godmothers,
3 little fairies,
three little fairies, they make it so that they give her gifts so that she just falls asleep, and she's beautiful and kind. It is the thing that always blows me away with Sleeping Beauty more than all of the other ones. It's a classic. It's a classic princess movie. There's a Prince Charming.
He fights a dragon.
He fights a dragon. She does end up picking her, doing the pinprick on a spinning wheel. It's great. It's beautiful. Music's good. The thing that I always loved about this one is the backgrounds are so interesting looking.
Yeah.
Because they're not all...
they're elongated, it feels like. It's like, it's almost built, like, it looks like the screen... we're talking about aspect ratio for a cartoon, but it's like a very tall looking... Does that make sense? Like, it's different.
It absolutely is.
Visual style is very different than like Snow White, which is more in on the characters.
It looks,
but when, especially with the dancing part, when the prince meets Aurora, they're dancing, and there's a lot of headroom, and you see all the stuff above them. It's just different, which is in a good way. It's a good different.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me almost of a paint by numbers, the backgrounds, almost, but maybe not quite. But it's got this beautiful art style. As we said, it may not be the best princess movie, but I think it establishes all of the tropes, and a lot of tropes of classic Disney come from it too. I'm surprised. I completely understand why they made a Maleficent movie. I know you didn't like it, but I understand why they made a Maleficent movie based off of this.
Evil character is perfect. She's great.
Yep.
Oh, and going back to I'm just looking this up real quick, but it was the first animated film to be photographed in 70-inch widescreen. So like that, like super, Panamorph, that sort of thing.
Giant. Yeah, it looks giant.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And more than anything else, it looks like a storybook.
Yeah, very much so.
The art style, the elongated art style, the fact that it opens with them opening a book.
Mm-hmm.
Classic Disney used to do
It's
that.
very right.
And
I miss that. And it's also very clean. Like it's very clean animation. It's very crisp. Whereas we talked about like in the Black Cauldron, it looked kind of. There were some parts where the people kind of like. Like they just kind of like blobbed and moved around, and like it just wasn't as good of animation. I feel like this is just really crisp and clean animation. It's great.
Absolutely, and it all works together really well. I really like it, and it's that the fight scene where when Maleficent turns into the dragon and Prince Charming. No, it's Prince Philip. I'm sorry. That's one thing that princess movies have is that their male love interests tend to be the same, and I get that because there's not a whole. That's not the point of the movie. The point of the movie is the princess. The male love interest isn't the character. That's why I went with Charming over Philip. But the fight scene with the dragon is incredible, and it still looks gorgeous and moves wonderfully. And the fire that she breathes, that sickly green fire, it's green, right? I remember it being green. Everything else about Maleficent is green, and she slinks, sinister with sinister intent in every sequence that she's on.
Well, and the whole the castle has all like the thorns around it. It's just really I don't know. It's just a neat thing. And to your point about I've heard criticisms about early Disney movies where the princess has to be kissed by the Prince Charming and all this kind of stuff. Okay, I understand that. Like they have to be saved, but they're the main character of these stories. Philip, Charming, whoever, they're just plug and play almost. And it's the story about this character that you care about. So, Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty and Snow White, and you don't really care about the guy. So I'm fine with her falling asleep and having to be rescued. It doesn't take away her agency from me. It's just we've come to care about her throughout the course of the movie, and oh no, now she's trapped.
She is,
So somebody has to rescue her. The fact that she doesn't rescue herself, I'm okay with, and I don't think it lessens her. It just, that's the story. Like, she we followed her around. She's the main person. She's the most important part of the story. I don't know if I'm making sense, but I don't think that it lessens her story because she didn't save herself. Because so often, many of us don't save ourselves.
No, we are. No one is an atom floating in the void. We are an interconnected group of people, and so yes, early Disney does maybe.
Bon Jovi. No, you're right.
They've gotten better about both sides of this because, look at Little Mermaid. Eric actually has. I can remember his name.
I can remember, and or Flynn from
Eugene.
Tangled. Eugene.
Yep. Yeah, his name's Eugene. Flynn Rider, but his real name's Eugene.
Kristoff. I remember Kristoff's name. I remember. Obviously the Beast. They do become more fleshed out, but that wasn't the point of this. The point was she was the character that we follow.
No, and this does owe a lot to Sleeping Beauty. Does owe a lot to the movies that came before it, but it also Snow White's really good. Snow White invents a genre, basically, and the movies that come after it have that as a pattern to work off of. There's I can't remember who said it, that Captain Marvel Shazam is a better Superman story, specifically because it has Superman to model itself off of. Because you now know what this kind of medium does, what this kind of character can do, so let's do something with it.
If Snow White is Mad Max, Sleeping Beauty is then Fury Road.
Exactly.
You cannot have Sleeping Beauty without Snow White. It's just made it better. Yeah.
Exactly. And so the genre lives, it dies, it lives again.
Sleeping Beauty with War Boys, though. I think that's the one thing it's missing.
No, it needs and a guitar that's on fire.
Exactly. No, this is just great. It was a great movie. It's beautiful looking.
Yes.
I love the fairies. This was not one that I remember growing up with Pinocchio. I remember growing up with the other two that we'll talk about in a minute. I remember growing up with, like, Great Mouse Detective. Sleeping Beauty wasn't the one... We didn't really watch this a lot.
No, I don't remember watching a lot of the princess movies in general,
Well,
but, I mean...
Cinderella. I remember Cinderella a lot. Mostly because of
yeah.
the
Yep, Cinderella.
I remember watching Cinderella a lot. Like, yeah, Jungle Book, all those kind of things. But you're right, the princess movies, Sleeping Beauty was like the bottom of the list. I don't really remember watching this too often. But then watching this again, I remembered all of it. Because it is a simple story, which is fine. That's not a knock against it. Simple stories are good. Like, if they're told well. And this is told extremely well.
And all of these are told well. What's interesting is our next film we've covered before
Several
in a
times.
different way.
So we've seen this story played out both. Let's see how many times we've done it twice now, right? No, 3 times, 4 times.
Okay, yeah, no, we've done more Robin Hood movies than any other kind of fantasy movie.
Right, because we've done Robin Hood Men in Tights, we've done Robin Hood Prince of Thieves, we've done Robin Hood
Taron Egerton.
Robin Hood. We've done The Adventures of Robin Hood, and now we are doing
Disney's Robin Hood.
Robin Hood, which is my favorite Disney movie, like animated Disney movie.
Really? Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
When I say it's my favorite today, looking back with nostalgia and looking back at everything, it's my favorite. Initial favorite is the one that we'll talk about after this.
Yeah, I can see that. This is in my top 5.
1973. Yeah, this is 1973's Robin Hood. It is my favorite Robin Hood movie.
Easily. And that's the Robin Hood movies we've watched at various times in various ways for various different reasons.
I watched Robin Hood Prince of Thieves so many damn times. Always.
And it's one of those, if it's on, I'm gonna watch it again because it's kind of dumb, but it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, don't get me wrong, I love Robin Hood Prince of Thieves. At the same time, Kevin Costner.
Well, and at the same time, Kevin Costner, because he's incredibly charming.
Yeah.
But he's also doing an American accent.
Which also kind of makes it abundantly clear that Christian Slater's his brother, since he's the only other person doing an American accent.
Right. This one, though, consistently, it's it's the favorite Robin Hood movie.
Oh, when we first started talking about Robin Hood movies, we mentioned that this is still the best of them because Robin Hood's already Robin Hood. We don't have to have the origin story. Out of all of the origin story Robin Hoods we've seen, the best one is still, I think, the Taron Egerton one because it's doing it completely differently. It's doing a superhero origin story as opposed to a folk hero origin story. What's interesting is that this was not supposed to be a Robin Hood movie initially.
Tell me about that.
So there is a French folk story called Reynard the Fox, and he is a thief and a trickster and a jerk, and they didn't know quite how to adapt it into it, but they kept having all these designs. They were going to do another take on it where Reynard had to protect this town or village or his home, but he's still a thief and a trickster. And so someone said, from what I understand, it basically came down to, well, wait a minute, a thief and a trickster who protects his home, that's kind of Robin Hood. And Robin Hood is sly like a fox. Let's just adapt these character designs over.
Interesting.
And I think the original creator of the plan to do the Reynard story was not happy about this, but it became this perfect movie.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, it's the best Robin Hood because we pick up with Robin Hood in media res. He's already met Little John. He already has a band of merry men. The sheriff's already taxing people. He's already saving people. He's already Robin Hood. The legend is already there.
Yeah, we pick up with Robin Hood and Little John walking through the forest.
And this is just kind of like another day in Robin Hood's life. Just to start with, right? It's not, there's no impetus. Yep. It's just, here we go. That's interesting that I guess the Reynard the Fox at least gave them the idea to make them anthropomorphic animals for Robin Hood. Having him be a fox is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I like this one so much because he actually gives back to the poor. In Robin Hood Prince of Thieves, when Elizabeth Mastrantonio, Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio shows up at Sherwood Forest, he's just got one of those treehouse things. It's just filled with gold. It's like,
yeah.
Are you giving that back to him, buddy? And the one with Taron Egerton he like kind of runs around and shoots some stuff, and I guess he gives it back. But there's more. It's more impactful to see the little church mice that had all the crumbs taken away, and then here's Robin Hood giving them something back. It's a little thing, but it's like, there's Robin Hood. That's what he did.
Well, we see one scene in Prince of Thieves where it's him and his group. They're just throwing stuff out to a village, and in this you see him actually. He shows up at people and he hands money away, and he's in disguise to avoid the sheriff, and he actually cares, and like his voice changes when he's talking to people, because he actually he's acting and giving, as you said, he's giving back and being Robin Hood.
Right. I love that. They actually do the bow and arrow contest, which they don't do in Prince of Thieves. They do that cool shot with the arrow, but it's not.
No, and that's because that's a little silly, and despite how silly Prince of Thieves is, that's a little bit too much for them to.
Whereas with this, it's not too silly.
No, it works. Like, of course, there's an archery contest. Of course.
The music's fantastic. It plays. It's perfect for its time. It's 1973, so you've got this like outlaw country, Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, that kind of thing. And not that
they lean into the if he's a folk hero, then folk music is kind of what we need.
Folk music, what we need, and also it's almost you could easily have Robin Hood and Little John on a horse-drawn carriage, and it leaps over a jump, and it'll freeze frame. Oh, that Robin Hood and Little John, they sure done it now, and like it's like a Duke Boys kind of thing. Like that's the feeling it has with this movie. So it's but Oo-De-lally, Oo-De-lally, golly, what a day! But it's just the music's perfect. It's very folksy. You understand why people love Robin Hood. There's some genuine thrills. Like you think that Robin Hood has died. The sheriff is menacing.
Is the sheriff supposed to be okay? The sheriff's a wolf, correct?
Yes.
Because he's the one that I can never like. I can't tell if he's supposed to be a wolf or a coyote I know he's some kind of canine, but like when I was a kid, I used to get him and Little John confused because they're both big and they look similar.
John's bear though. He's definitely got a bear face.
I know. I know.
The sheriff is a wolf. And it has like little kids that are dressing up like him, which make he's a folk hero, so they're gonna dress up like him. And I don't know. It was just it's a wonderful. The music's great.
Absolutely.
This is kind of after the big heyday of original. This is like almost right before Disney went downhill.
Yep.
And then before it picked back up with the last movie we're talking about. So it's that interesting in between time where this is still Disney doing their thing and doing it well.
And they're feeling but it's also feeling experimental at the same time in a weird way.
Well,
like, maybe not experimental, but
well, to your point with the book, the Sleeping Beauty opens with a book. An illustration in the book starts singing to us, and he's walking across the calligraphy words. Like the Old English words in the story, it's the rooster. It's the ALADDIN character, or the rooster.
Right. Yeah.
Like, and it's just and that whole that music sets the whole vibe of, all right, this is what the movie is. Like this is a folk tale, and I think that was the right direction to go with this. I don't know. I love it. This is it.
Me too.
As far as Robin Hood movies are concerned, this is the one that got it the best.
I agree. Now, I've been thinking about this for years now, but with Disney's slate of live-action movies, this one I can think of 3 people who I would want. Like I've already cast like three in my head, but I haven't found Robin Hood yet. And 3 characters in this, I've already got them like set up because. Okay, so Alan Adale, obviously Willie Nelson.
Or if he's not available, I'd say Sturgill Simpson. who's
Okay.
who's on par with that level of like outlaw country. Yep.
Or Chris Christopherson,
There we go.
maybe.
Yep.
For a casting gag, not Robin Hood. I'm sorry, Little John, Bill Murray.
So Baloo. Nice.
Yeah, exactly, because it's the same. He's playing the same character, and he did it he also played him in the live action Jungle Book. And Sheriff of Nottingham, Ted Cruz.
Well, you've just ruined everything, Lucas, including Ted Cruz. But yeah, this is just a great movie. And then the last movie is it's just so good.
And so what's funny is we've already covered this.
Right, we've done the live action version, which was basically a shot for shot remake in the live action sense with some awkward stuff added onto it. Now, I will say that since we're going to talk about Aladdin, 1992 animated film, we talked about it and we didn't like it. And then I've watched it again a bunch of times because the kids loved it, and I like it a lot more. And mostly I like it a lot more because their reactions to it, and it made me appreciate it more.
I can understand that. That's, as I said, the last movie I saw in theaters, and this is the longest I have ever gone without going to a movie theater. Last movie I ever saw in a theater was Rise of Skywalker.
Right.
And about the only thing I enjoyed with Rise of Skywalker was the row of kids in front of me having the time of their lives.
Right. So that adds to it, and it makes it the appeal greater. This one though was just watching again was like, oh well, this is clearly superior. I remember why this is, and for me, I don't think we have to go through the plot again. It's Aladdin. Aladdin finds a lamp. Jafar is a bad guy. He gets 3 wishes. He gets the girl. We've talked about it in the live action story. In the live action, it's the same thing. So much of this movie, I mean, the songs are incredible, but so much of this movie hinges on the performance of Robin Williams. And when I say performance, this is one of the few animated performances that I remember. I don't really, I remember, talking about Robin Hood just now. I remember Prince John sucks his thumb, whatever, but it really...
mommy.
But this was a performance. This wasn't just somebody reading lines. And what amazes me when I rewatched it was Robin Williams was this ball of, magma energy. Just crazy energy, right?
Exactly.
And improv. And you can't really improv during animation because they've already animated it. You're just talking to it. So what was impressive was that the animation looked like they had animated his improv prior to his improving. And I don't know if they did that or not, but I'm sorry. It just looked like they had captured him before he even spoke it.
So, from what I understand with most Robin Williams productions, Robin Williams, his portions of the script were, and Robin does something funny, and they let him go, and they would animate the script. They would speak the script, and then they would animate afterwards. That's mostly how some of this goes.
Because normally it's like that scene in Mrs. Doubtfire where they have the mouse talking, and he's talking over it. So he's normally they're recording to something that's already done. So you're saying that with the Robin Williams bit, it was done in reverse?
Well, I'm thinking the majority of animation is they record because they have to lip sync. They have to get the faces right. They have to make it match the dialogue.
Patton Oswalt has said when he was doing Ratatouille, you were watching the screen and you were doing the inflection
I know
based on what they've animated.
Yeah, CGI movies are different because it's a different thing.
There could be that, but
yeah,
I think so much of his performance is the animation. That performance as the genie, I think, is on par with it's like Smeagol.
Yes, it absolutely is.
Of that level of animated performances, it completely elevates what could have been just a jokey character to he steals the show, and makes you remember, and also becomes the heart of the movie.
Well, it's really so several episodes ago I mentioned a documentary by Lindsay Ellis about the Hobbit production. She also has one about Robin Williams in Aladdin specifically. She's a video essayist, and how Robin Williams took the job not because he was a famous voice actor. He wasn't. Getting big name people to do animated movies wasn't a thing until Robin Williams. He was just wanted to be part of the long tradition of animated films, and part of his because there was also 2 sequels to this, and Robin Williams only is in the third one. Did the third one. He did not want to be a part of the second one because he did not want to be for Aladdin. He did not want to be advertised as the main draw. He did not want to be advertised as the big thing part of it, and they did. They made him the draw of the movie, so he said no. And so they got Dan Castellaneta to replace him in the second one. Return of the Jafar, Dan Castellaneta, Homer Simpson. And then in the third one, they paid him a ludicrous amount of money to come back.
Which happens.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't fault him for that. It's work. Shakespeare got to get paid, son. Right.
But it is amazing. Like that's one of the things that I took away from the most was that this movie, it somehow captured him in a way that channeled him, and it didn't let him. Like, he was able to do all this crazy stuff, but also focused him in on the story. So then he was the catalyst for Aladdin. He was the heart of the movie. He made Aladdin realize he was okay as he was, and you should be okay with who you are. The animation's beautiful. Again, it's incredible.
It is so slick, particularly in relation to the genie. It is so fast and quick, and I don't believe there's any rotoscoping, which is even more impressive for it looking that slick.
Like what Aladdin jumping through Agrabah and leaping over there.
Yeah,
it's incredible. It really is.
Mm-hmm. So. And it's funny we spent most of talking about this about Robin Williams because it might be his best performance of anything. Like I started thinking about Robin Williams movies. I'm like, yeah, I can't really because there's 50% of his catalog is Aladdin, and then the remaining 50% is every other thing he'd ever done in my head.
Yeah, I mean, there's Mrs. Doubtfire. That's up there. But we just watched it.
Oh, okay.
He was great. I mean, he was an incredible actor, and he did but also he did some horrible things, but he also did some pretty incredible things. And this is top 1 or 2 of his just talk about a harmonic convergence of a character that is all powerful, that could do anything, and then a comic wonderkind
genius
that could tiptoe from an Amish mechanic, which is what do you see with what do you call an Amish man with his arm up a horse's ass? A mechanic.
Yeah, a mechanic.
And you could get from there to some random dancing thing that he's doing in a couple of steps, and tie it all together. So someone with that kind of comedic energy and timing and imagination, he's basically a genie of comedy, right? So then now you get to play Genie. So that was just this perfect connection there. The songs are great, A Whole New World.
So funny story about A Whole New World. I know exactly half of that song. I know the Aladdin half of that song because me and my best friend Matt in college, somehow we ended up independently of each other learning both halves of that. And so occasionally we will break into a Whole New World with Matt doing Jasmine.
We're talking about movies that everybody's seen. Like, when we're talking about Deathstalker, or we're talking about Solomon Kane, or we're talking about P-51 Dragon Fighter, people probably haven't seen these before. Obviously, people have seen Aladdin. They've seen Robin Hood. They've seen Sleeping Beauty. This was a very fun episode to get back into the swing of things. So thank you for these suggestions. I don't know what else we could say other than just gushing about all of these movies. My thinking,
because I can't really think of.
These are in a
I'm looking at our list right now, and since we've already established that Robin Hood is the best of the Robin Hood movies, exactly.
So we were at least above number 17. But I also can't tell you if Robin Hood is better than Sleeping Beauty is better than Aladdin, because I feel like
that is actually what I was going to say, because out of all of those, the one that I am going to want to watch again is going to be Robin Hood. And then it's going to be Robin Hood, Aladdin, and then Sleeping Beauty. It's the exact same thing. So I think we've got our order right there.
Okay, so there's our order. Now it's just placing them at what. So basically, which one? What's Sleeping Beauty better than?
Python. Honestly, I'm looking at it right now.
I would say it's better than.
I don't think
Knight's Tale.
Sleeping Beauty is
I'm
better.
Give it up there, man.
I think Krull is better than Robin Hood, and then I think everything else is. But I think Sleeping Beauty is better than Time Bandits. So that's 9, 10, and 11. Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
Cool.
Okay, so that's those. Yeah, so it's Robin Hood, Aladdin, Sleeping Beauty, and then Time Bandits. Okay, I can dig that. Cool. This is great.
This was.
I miss this.
Me too.
I need to do this more. Miss seeing your face.
Miss seeing you too.
So Lucas, where can folks listen to us?
We can be found on basically every streaming platform: Spotify, Podbean, Pandora, Apple Podcasts. I think Android Podcasts now. We can be found on Twitter at SwordInBoardcast. We have a completely dead, zombified Instagram
which we'll have to reinvigorate a little bit.
We can also be found on YouTube. It auto uploads every episode of YouTube onto YouTube.
Unbeknownst to us.
Yes, that was an.
And the horrifying thing is that it recorded us when we weren't wearing clothes.
Exactly.
So we need to make sure that we're now fully clothed for every episode.
Exactly.
Our logo is designed by Wes Forbes. Our theme music, Goblin Road Trip, is produced by Ryan Boyd. They can be found at
Ryandroid on Twitter. They're very active, and I've
way more than us.
Yes, they are. Everyone, stay safe. Wear a mask.
Get your shot when you can.
So, if you're concerned about it, it is actually free. That is a big thing. Is that they are, from what I have been reading, the COVID vaccine is free. So, if you cannot get one, get on a list. If you are worried about paying for it, do not worry about that. This is a thing.
This is a thing you should do to go help everybody out and help us get back to a quasi-normal. Like I said, I had my second shot. I was a little queasy the next morning. I didn't feel great the next day, and that was it. Go take care of each other. Go watch some wonderful movies. Get outside. The sun is coming out again, and we'll be back much sooner than later.
Yes.
So check us out.
Have a good day, guys.